they can meet and they're this far apart.
There's chatting this morning. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the July 7th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We have a packed day with commission meeting, Dornwood Splash Park, budget hearings, so let's get started. Madam Clerk.
Okay, first item is under unfinished business. Number one, public hearing and consider approval of resolution number 2016-46, authorizing the sale of the California Clinic to Grace Med Health, Inc. for $1.5 million.
This time I'll move to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rich Eckert, Shawnee County Councilor. I thought I would take a minute to explain why we're doing this procedure so that everyone understands, and then if anyone else wants to speak, they would have that frame of reference to begin with. We are selling, or attempting to sell today, a sizable piece of real estate. And the procedures for doing that are a little bit different, and we've chosen an even more different path. The statute gives us a couple of options, and this is probably the one most rarely used, and I don't know that we've ever used it since I've been here. But what we're doing is we're having a public hearing today for anyone to come and discuss the purchase. They can discuss the sell price. They can make a better offer. Any of the above. And what we're attempting to do, and what the statute tries to ensure, is that we are selling the property for fair market value, for a good purpose, and they don't have to be both, and or, for a good community cause, and we're fortunate here that it's all of those things. But the statute is trying to ensure that there's not any funny business going on, for lack of a better term. So we have a public hearing. It's transparent. It's in front of everyone. And the way that my office has chosen to do it, because the statute actually is a little light on the details, is that we set it for 2 commission meetings to give the world plenty of notice and hold a public hearing. That's not really specified in the statute, but we chose to do it that way because it seemed to be the most fair way to give the world notice and to let anyone come and talk about this subject. So, to the matter at hand, we are dealing with California Clinic, a building that we actually built several years ago to have a clinic on the east side of town. And now with the transition of our FQHC to Grace Med, that is a property that needs to go with that to keep that function alive and well, and again on the east side. So the purchase price that we are selling this for is $1.5 million. The 2015 Shawnee County appraisal value, and by the way, when that value was set, we didn't know we were selling the property, so if anyone wants to bring that point up, no funny business there either. The 2015 appraised value is $1.338200, $1,338,200. So you are actually selling this property above the appraised value. Now, they're not simply going to write us a check for $1.5 million. The plan is for them. We, of course, have a fund of reserves that goes to the health agency that goes along with that, but we're going to draw the money back out of the reserves over time for that $1.5 million payment. So if anyone's expecting to get a check for $1.5 million, that's not how it's going to happen. They're going to pay us back over a set number of years out of that reserve fund. So that's how that will operate. And with that, I think I've covered everything. If anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to try my best to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Are there questions first from the commission? And we did have the first reading last Thursday, June 30th. So at this time, I'll open it up to comments from the public. And you can just come on up and state your name and make your comments, if there's anyone wanting to make any. Okay. Commissioners?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
If we could, if Ms. Greiner could talk to us for just a moment, maybe, again, kind of putting this sale in the context of the big picture of the transition with Grace Med, how our payments to Grace Med are structured, how we're going to fit within the property tax lid that's coming up, that's been imposed upon us by the legislature.
This is just one piece of the transition. And the counselor's office is working on the master agreement with them. But the way we are seeing this structure, as he mentioned, the reserves that are attributable to the health clinic only will be transitioned over to Grace Med. And then over the next 4-year period of time, we will be given credit for those reserves that we have transferred to them by reduction of the tax allocation that we will give them each year. We are like I say, the way the agreement will be drafted over a 5-year period of time, we will continue to give them tax allocations on a decreasing scale. It will reduce 20% each year of those 5 years, till at the end of that 5 years there will be no more subsidy for that. Then there will be a further reduction from those tax allocations for a portion of the reserves, and then for a portion of this sale of this building. So, and yeah, the whole purpose, one of the purposes of that is as we go into this tax lid, where we are really limited to our increases by the amount of the CPI increase, and that is going to be quite a limitation on us, because it's not going to look at the needs of the county, it's only going to look at that CPI increase. As we are going into that, by reducing this tax allocation, it's going to help us meet our budget needs. It will reduce the amount of the tax allocation that we will actually send to Grace Med each of those years. So it will free up some of that tax allocation that we will, probably need for salary increases primarily.
Okay. All right.
Actually, probably, when we first started this whole process with the Safety Net Summit and that sort of thing, and realizing about $2 million in savings potentially, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
this will happen now. But then all along knowing that hopefully then in this community we would still have more care for people who need it. We do see the benefit to our budget, but then hopefully then with Grace Med taking on those operations, that there are increased services through them.
They plan on increased services and also increased numbers that will be served.
Exactly.
And as a nonprofit, they do have resources that are not available to a government that they will be able to tap into also.
Thank you, Betty.
And I have the luxury of having the exact numbers with me. The 2017 tax allocation is $1.8 million. From there, it actually declines $400,000 each year. In those first 4 years, we're going to deduct $375,000 per year to make up that purchase price. So that's the specifics of that.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Archer.
Yeah, I was just going to point out that it is significant tax savings, but the real benefit is the number of uninsured people in our community. And Grace Med is projecting to go from 5,000 up to 25,000 additional patients in the next 5 years. They're quite an impressive organization, and we're very fortunate to hand off our health agency to them. So, having said that, if I may make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. And I might just ask, is there any more business that we have with the transition with Grace Med that'll come before us?
Yes, there
Okay.
will be in more than one. Probably the next thing you'll see, what we're trying to do is as we're writing the master, what goes in that, what doesn't go in that. We've just transferred the real estate, and by the way, we'll keep the deed on that as long as these installment payments are being made. So if you looked it up next year on the appraiser's website, you'll still see Cinco as the owner, but they'll have an affidavit of equitable interest filed with the Register of Deeds. So I wanted to be clear about that. But they'll have, for all intents and purposes, they'll have the building. They'll have the keys, so to speak. Now we have to deal with the contents of that building. And now we haven't decided if we're going to wait for the master, because the master is going to take a bit of drafting, or get those to you in a separate document as soon as possible. But yeah, you will see more things as we go along to try to wrap this up.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Rich.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Did we vote?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes. All those, questions on the consent agenda?
I don't have any questions, but I would move for approval of the consent agenda.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Madam Chair, this morning we have one set of vouchers dated July 6, 2016. Total amount $2,511,349.44. Significant items include payroll and capers payment of $826,000, AMR payment of $152,000, $398,000 for Department of Corrections, and health insurance for $213,000. I've reviewed the vouchers. My questions have been answered, and I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers as presented.
Thank you. There's a motion by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item B, Extension Council, number 1, consider approval of the 2017 operating budget from the Shawnee County Extension Council.
Good morning, Commissioners. Cindy Evans, Director with Shawnee County Extension. The Extension Council law makes the county and K-State Research and Extension partners in developing and funding our program. And so what you have today is our funding request for the coming year. And so I'll speak just briefly. You know, our budget hearing is next Tuesday, and so I won't go into a lot of detail, but that our budget request is 2.38% of an increase. We have tried to really take some reductions at the county level, planning for the issues that you have at hand with the budget and the tax lid. So as we've had openings come up the last year, we have tried to replace those with time and, you know, people who don't have benefits, and really tried to hold the line on our budget. So we'll talk about that in more detail next week. But for today, we are formally, filing this with you. And Betty's aware of the process, but then you have, 10 days to take a look at. I believe it'll be on your meeting on Monday, that you can choose to accept it or reject it. That will come back to us, and then we will have 10 days to make revisions. I expect I'll be back here next Thursday to see you again and to present the second budget probably at that time. Do you have any questions that I could answer at this time?
I don't know that I have any, Commissioner.
I don't have any.
No?
None now.
So no action today, just,
We're just formally filing and presenting it to
Okay.
you, and then I think that'll be on your meeting for Monday for action.
should we actually acknowledge receipt of? I believe
I'll
yeah.
move to acknowledge receipt of
Okay.
the Kansas State extension budget
Okay, there's
proposal.
a motion by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. And so it will be on for Monday, but then your hearing is not until Tuesday.
Right.
Okay.
Cindy, Betty, and I kind of sat together and worked the dates back
Okay.
and forth to make sure that we would stay within the parameters as close to the Extension Council law as we can. I think everybody knows the law was created many years ago and does not necessarily work for the way,
Right.
you go through the budget process. We want to be aligned with the way you need to do the budget process, so we will do our back and forth as much as we can.
Okay.
But we know that even when you take a look at the budget on Monday, you haven't heard our budget hearing yet. So we recognize that you may reject it on Monday, but we'll be prepared to explain it to you well on Tuesday.
Okay, great, thanks,
Thank you.
Cindy. Next item, please.
Item C, District Court, number 1, consider approval of request to use the basement snack bar to hold a mini job fair as part of Amnesty Day on August 12, 2016.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chuck Hagedis, Court Administration. Department of Children and Families is holding a statewide Amnesty Day on August 12th for those individuals who are arrears in their child support payments and have warrants issued for their arrest. As part of that, they wanted to conduct a mini job fair, and they're asking to utilize the snack bar in the basement here. And so that's why we're coming before you, is to help partner with them and to utilize that space on that particular day.
Okay, thank you, John. Other questions? Not, I'll move approval of the request. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Item D, Human Resources, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 208-2016 with SunGuard to add 2 additional modules to the county's One Solution IFAS upgrade project at a cost of $27,420, which is contained within the project fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Crowell, Human Resources Director. That description does a pretty good job of summing up what this item is. I can elaborate for you that both modules create efficiencies by automating processes that are currently done by hand. I met with Betty and with IT, and we feel that this is these items are appropriate to be included within the One Solution upgrade project. The funds for these 2 items are already within the project fund, and so we're recommending approval of the items. And I can answer more questions if you want.
Thank you, Jim. Questions?
Sounded like the cost benefits were very significant in this.
I believe so.
Okay.
The personnel action form is a process that causes a lot of paperwork in the HR office. This will automate that process, save a lot of staff time, and actually allow us to be able to audit in the future what happened in the past and when it happened and who approved. And so it actually adds more information for us, along with being a more efficient process.
Very good. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the contract.
It's a motion to approve by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item D2, consider recommendation to accept a report of the Administrative Review Committee and consider scheduling a public hearing on July 21st, 2016 regarding a tax exemption for Big Heart Brands.
Good morning, Commissioners, again. These next 2 items aren't necessarily HR items. They are economic development items. They do typically involve jobs, though, so I guess there's that connection. We are at the step in the process with both of these 2 items where the Administrative Review Committee has met. I'm chair of that committee. County Counselor sits on that committee, so does the county clerk, and other representatives of local governmental entities that would be affected by the tax exemption. We reviewed the application, and where we are in this process is we've reviewed it, and now we're asking you to accept the report of the Administrative Review Committee that is favorably recommending the exemption as requested, and we're asking you to set this matter for a public hearing on July 21st, 2016. At that point, the actual exemption resolution with the details of the exemption would be presented for consideration of you, by you.
Okay, thank you. I know we'll have the public hearing on the 21st, but is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak on this item? Okay. Commissioners? Is there a motion? I'll move to accept the report and set the public hearing for July 21st. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item D3, consider recommendation to accept a report of the Administrative Review Committee and consider scheduling a public hearing on July 21st, 2016 regarding a tax exemption for HME, Inc.
I don't want to shortchange HMNE, but this is the same.
Same.
We're in the same part of the process with both, and we're trying to track them through the process at the same time.
Move to accept the recommendation.
Second.
It's a motion by Commissioner Archer.
So that included setting a hearing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Item E, corrections. Number one, consider out-of-state travel for an employee to attend a training seminar in Kansas City, Missouri at a cost of about $1,600.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. Today, this is a request for approval to allow one of our employees who's been with the Department of Corrections for over 18 years to attend some training that will allow us to enhance and meet our accreditation standards when it comes to self-defense and all of the different types of levels of use of force that we have in the Department of Corrections. Also, this employee is the head of our emergency response team. That allows us, when we go in to do shakedowns or we have to relocate a combative inmate, so to speak. So these are, this is very vital and very good training. It is very close to us, and that all the forms have been signed regarding through policy procedure. I have met with Betty Griner regarding the cost of this and the forms, and the money is within our budget. We have this, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Brian. Are there questions?
I would move for approval.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Brian.
Item F, Parks and Recreation. Number one, consider authorization and execution of contract C-210-2016 with Mid-America Courtworks of Wichita for the resurfacing of the tennis courts at Crossover Tennis Center, Felker Park, 2540 Southwest Gage Boulevard at a cost of $107,380.
Good morning, Commissioners. Terry Burtle, Parks and Recreation. You might recall I was here a couple weeks ago, I think, asking you to award the bid to Mid-America Courtworks for this work. You did that, so what you have before you now is a contract, awarding of the contract to the contractor. This is for Crossover Tennis Center resurfacing. Crossover Tennis Center, as you know, is our premier tennis facility, hosts numerous local and state events, and is in need of resurfacing. Mid-America Courtworks is one of the preeminent court resurfacing companies in the state, so I have it on very good authority that we'll get a good product out of them, and that this is a good price, and I would ask for your approval for the contract for the work to commence.
Thanks, Terry. And it looks like work is anticipated to begin on August 1st and
Correct.
hopefully be completed by November 1st, correct?
Yes, we have a very narrow window of opportunity to get started before high school activities start and after big stuff ends, and we won't get done, but that's our window to get a good start.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Other questions on the contract? Or a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
It's a motion to approve by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Item F2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-211-2016 with Funflix Kansas for equipment and an outdoor movie for a Movie Under the Stars special event on July 30th, 2016 at Bettis Family Sports Complex at a cost of $629.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sean Osborne, Parks Plus Recreation. This is a service contract that we've had in the past. We've worked with Funflix before, and this is kind of in coordination with being Parks and Recreation Month of July. And this also gives people an opportunity to come out to Bettis and enjoy the complex out there, even if they don't play baseball and stuff like that. And so it's kind of a win opportunity for us to kind of showcase Bettis and to have a nice place for people to come and watch a movie.
Good idea. Questions?
I would move for its approval.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0, and that takes place July
Thank you.
30th.
Yes.
Perfect.
Item F3, consider authorization and execution of contract C-212-2016 through 214-2016 with Jared Guth, Luke Brosterman, and Josh Hoover to provide music entertainment on July 30th, 2016 at Old Prairie Town's Summer Sunset Concert at a cost of $75 per session each.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Bell, Recreation Program Supervisor at Old Prairie Town. Board of County Commission approval is requested for the 3 foundation contracts for Jared Guth, Luke Brocksterman, and Josh Hoover. The concert will be held July 30th from 6 to 9 p.m. And the foundation will pay for these contracts with all the proceeds going back to the foundation to help with the growth of Old Prairie Town. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, John. Questions?
I would move for its approval.
Motion by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
And second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. So can you get this in and the movie Under the Stars? They're on the same night.
I know.
Right, yeah, I know.
But you know what? It's two different things.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of people in Topeka that love the live music. So
That's true.
we're providing that opportunity, and they're providing the concert Under the Stars it's kind of geared towards the children. Plus, I think you can do both because the movie Under the Stars starts at 9.
Yeah.
And we'll be ending at 9, so you
Yeah,
can make
there you
it. You could do both.
A whole night.
You can do both. That's right.
Very good. Thank you.
The sheriff's here, by the way. So watch out.
Item G, Administrative Services, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-209-2016 with Patricia Shawnee, CPC, for part-time services as a medical coder to support the transition of the Shawnee County Health Agency Community Health Center through August 31st, 2016, at a rate of $22 per hour for up to 10 hours per week.
Betty Griner, Director of Administrative Services, and this is part of that transition for the health clinic. The patients that were seen through June 30, those billings will need to be processed by Shawnee County. That is not something that Grace Med is taking over. They will take over, of course, all of theirs that began starting July 1, but those that had seen patients through June 30, we will be processing those, and those billings will need to be processed. This, we felt, was the best way to handle this on a transitional basis. So, she will only be working to do that medical coding as there is demand for that just for this transition period of time.
Good solution. Thank you, Betty. Are there questions?
Move for approval.
There's a motion by Commissioner Cook
Second.
and second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item G2, consider approval of resolution number 2016-47, which establishes the change drawer funds, with the only change being the addition of 2 cash drawers for the our Midwest Health Aquatic Center.
As she said, this is to add 2 cash drawers for the Midwest Health Aquatic Center. One would be for admissions and the other is for concessions, and this is just to get prepared for the opening of the aquatic center.
Great. Thank you, Betty.
Move to approve the resolution.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thanks, Betty.
Item H, Public Works, number 1, consider approval of request to fill a vacant road maintenance staff position at a salary of $42,995.89, including benefits.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Blanco, Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item, and we have a gentleman that I believe, it's my understanding, is going to go out into business on his own and has put in his resignation, so we asked to fill that position so we keep our crews at full staff. Any questions? Happy to try to answer them.
Thanks, Tom.
Move.
Questions?
No, I would move for its approval. So.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thanks, Tom.
Item 5, Administrative Communications, number 1, discussion of the 2017 budget.
As we have started our discussion of the 2017 budget, I thought it might be appropriate to have a little bit of an overview from Betty, and then over the course of the next several weeks, we'll work towards approving. But Betty, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, I'm going to start out with a little information just on county governments as a whole. This is a chart from the National Association of Counties, and you can see each box is a county across the country. And this is showing the economic recovery of each county across the across the United States, they have 4 indicators that they look at for the recovery. And those indicators are the unemployment rate, the GDP, the home prices, and jobs. So in this chart, see if I can make sure that the yellow, no, it doesn't, okay. The yellow here, the lightest color, that shows that none of the indicators have recovered in that county. The orange, the more orange color, means that one of the indicators has shown recovery. The lighter blue is 2. The middle blue or medium blue is 3 indicators, and then the dark blue means all 4 indicators have recovered for that county. So it really kind of shows you a picture of the country as a whole and how the counties have recovered. You can see kind of the Midwest is really in probably the best shape of the country. For Shawnee County, they show that we have 3 of our 4 indicators have shown recovery. That is the unemployment rate, the GDP, and the home prices. The one for our county that has not recovered yet is the jobs. So just as kind of an overview of the, what counties are facing and how we've come back. They also, in their article in January in the County News, which is a newspaper from the National Association of Counties, they say that for unemployment and for home prices in 2015 was 2.5 times more recovery than the previous year. So really made some strides in 2015 in recovery. They also, their headline on this was Economic Recovery Spreading, but Improvement Remains Geographically Uneven. And this map really shows that. Kind of depends on what part of the country, and even within that, even within the state of Kansas, you can see there's 2 counties that none of their indicators have improved, or have recovered back to where they were. There's also a quote here I wanted to read, and this is from their research director. It says, "This uneven recovery across county economies contributes to the challenges that counties already confront. Counties face a triple threat from uncertainty around federal policy, from tax reform, and from entitlement reform, and appropriation cuts not accompanied by reductions in unfunded mandates." So we're not alone. Counties all over the country are facing these same issues. And to bring this back to our county level, or Shawnee County, as you know, and hopefully the public knows, this week we are having budget hearings. Those will continue next week and will finish up next week. Our public hearing will be on August the 4th. That's a Thursday at 5:30 here in the courthouse in B11, which is the chambers we're in right now. And after that time, then you will start, as the commission will start making specific decisions on the specific departments or organizations. Then we will have an approved budget by August 25th, as stated by statute. Thought I would go over a little bit the assessed values. We get an estimate on the assessed values. The county clerk's office supplies that to me on, they have to supply that by July 1. And then the actual assessed values are not received by the clerk's office until November 1. And those will be the numbers that the levies are actually levied upon. But for budget purposes, we have to have an estimated number for assessed value. And just for the general public, the way that our tax money, our tax levy, or our total tax levy is calculated is it's the mill levy times the assessed value and then divided by 1,000. And that would how you calculate the actual tax money that would be levied. This year, on our real estate, the assessed value actually went up $33,863,000, or 2.5%. And that is after not including, I should say, $3 million that's anticipated in exemptions, like the two that Jim brought for you today. And there's a third, and those total $3 million, and that's for economic development. So that is those are not included in that number. The personal property, that actually went down by $4,102,000, or 8.4%. Now, as you know, but I'm not sure that if the public does, there's more and more property that is exempt from personal property due to state decisions that they have made. And, that personal property includes like business property, say furniture, fixtures, and that kind of thing, mobile homes, etc. Then we also have the state assessed utilities, and that is down $4,842,000, or 2.6%. This is the first year since I've been here that I've seen that state assessed utility number go down. So if we look at our total, or our net assessed value, it is up $24,919,000, or 1.6%. And as we're looking into our budget for 2014, one of the things that we need to look at are the additional costs we're going to have this year that must be incorporated into that budget. The wage increases from the CBIZ study will cost us $1,649,074. That is including benefits. Our health insurance increase for this year is $107,568. Now the total is about $1 million, but for the general fund alone, and the general fund is what we are budgeting for at this point, it's $701. And then we'll have a little bit of an increase on our debt service this year. As you recall, we had a 2015 COP funding for the jail kitchen, for Parks and Rec, and then also for some deferred maintenance. That debt service increases a little bit in 2017. So our starting point for our 2017 budget, or kind of where we will begin, is what I call a flat budget. That will start with our 16 budget for each department. Then and that will include their 2016 wage increases, because those have already been approved by you. Those will be included in there. We will also include in that flat budget the 2017 wage increases that you have committed to. Then we will have to add the additional health insurance that I just talked about. Then we did get a nice surprise. The Capers actually reduced their rates. That information was not given to us before the budget packets were submitted. So that is something the departments did not have that information. But it will save them money as they're charged that Capers rate on their payroll. So I have reduced those reductions by the department. And then there's a few other areas that have gone down that contractually or something like that. I already talked about the health agency and how the health clinic tax allocation will be substantially less this year. So that will decrease that flat budget. Elections is generally on a 2-year cycle because their major election is every 2 years. So rather than comparing them or starting them with 2016, they will start with their 2015 budget, and that would be considered their flat budget. And then on the ambulance, by going out for RFP on the ambulance services, we just had the contract that was approved by you. That is going to be a substantial savings for the county too. So that will help us in our budget, but that will be considered in the flat budget also. So that'll be our starting point. That's where we will start looking at each department, and that will be the costs that we have to cover for each department for the commitments we've already made. Then at that point in time, after the public hearing, on August the 8th, at your regular commission meetings, you will start making decisions based on how to allocate money to the different departments. And what we will do is we will look at that as, we will estimate a mill levy based on the estimate of the assessed value. The mill levy is not actually set. It is set by the county clerk after she receives that final assessed value. But we will estimate it, and we will look at that, and then, like I say, you will approve a budget. You must approve it by August the 25th. This budget this year is going to be very important, because 2017 will be our last budget where we are really focusing on the assessed value and on the mill levy. And really all other future budgets will be based on this 2017 budget, because all future budgets will be under that tax lid, where we will be looking, they will be limited to the increase in the assessed value. Now that will be on a 5-year rolling average. But if I looked at that today, that 5-year CPI average, for our 2017 budget, even though it's not, will not be applied to it, that 5-year average would be 1.7%. Through May of 16, if I look at that 5-year rolling average, it would be 1.3%, because that 5th year back is the highest year of the average. So, and it'll depend on what happens the rest of this year. But as of right now, through the end of May, we'll be looking at a 1.3% increase. To put that in perspective, and to give you an example, say with a $100 million budget, which is what ours close is, if we had a 1.5% average CPI increase, that would mean we could increase our budget $1.5 million. And that would be our limit. Now, there are a few exceptions, but, I'm not going to go into the exceptions, but this is just the general rule. So that would give us a 1.5% or $1.5 million budget increase. For 2018, our CBIZ study wage increases are $1,962,000. So, we are going, we have some challenges ahead of us. And that's why this budget year will be so important, because all of the other budgets will be hinged on this one. And as you can see, we are going to be really facing a challenge. We are going to really, it's going to change the focus of the budget each year from the mill levy and the assessed values to looking at this CPI change. We could really be required to decrease the mill levy if our assessed value goes up more than this CPI increase. So, any questions that I can answer?
Commissioner Cook?
The health insurance increase again?
For the general fund is $701,000.
Okay.
For the total for the county, it's more like $1 million.
But just, from 2016 to 2017, it's $701,000 increase.
Yes.
For the general fund?
Yes.
For the general.
For the general fund employees, yes. Yeah. And we try, and especially in prior years, we've tried to really watch those increases and not, hit the departments with any more increases than we have to. But as we all know, health costs continue to go up, and we have got to maintain, we are a self-insured we have a self-insured health insurance plan, and so we have got to maintain the reserves we need in that fund to make sure that we can pay those costs as they come in.
And again, my non-CPA quick calculations, if we look at the savings between the ambulance, between Capers, and with the health clinic, those savings are basically offset by the increase in the health insurance, and they kind of net out to each other. Okay. So while we've done a good job in negotiating contracts and managing funds and expanding services for our constituents, the health insurance, which is something we don't have control over, nets out any of our gains.
But without those gains, we would be even worse shape, so, yes.
But
Still, yeah.
Yeah. What's the percentage increase in our health insurance rate? Do you know offhand?
Oh.
It's pop quiz.
No, I don't know offhand.
Because we had talked about
We had
14,
talked about it.
15% at one point.
I think it ended up at 12,
12,
but
Okay.
I'm not positive. I don't have that in front of me.
okay.
Cindy, do you remember?
I think the 14 sounds to me. I think that's, yeah.
Maybe it is
14%.
14, I think, yeah.
And then we're looking at increases in the out years of health insurance, right?
Yes.
From what I
Well, I
recall.
would assume
Yeah.
it will be, yes. I mean, that continues to increase, so.
I think it's important to note too, I mean, municipalities are doing their budgets, townships are doing their budgets, but the county's predominant revenue is property tax.
Yes.
We are somewhat limited by our revenue. So when you do the budget reports, it's some fees, for services, that sort of thing, but it's predominantly property tax.
Yes.
Whereas cities have a little bit more flexibility. Okay, all right. Any questions, any further questions? No? Thank you, Betty. Can never get enough of budget discussion, right? Yeah. Next item, please. Oh, actually, more budgeted, or more budget, no, more budget right now. Administrative communications.
Commissioners, Tom Block again, Public Works and Solid Waste. Just want to let you know that beginning next Monday on the 11th, we are going to be starting on the mill and overlay project on Northeast 46th Street, which essentially goes from Meriden Road, the north leg, back towards the west to the Indian Creek Bridge. We'll do it similar to that, how we did 61st Street, in which we'll come out and have it milled. The best asphalt, our group will clean it up and then place the overlay. I don't know if we'll get it done quite as quickly as we did in 61st Street. We did that one in a week. This one, I would say, could take a week, but it may take up to 2, weather dependent. There's a few more preparation items that we need to do.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Shabine, Kansas Expo Center. Glad to be back. I was in Providence for our corporate meetings, which were very inspiring. I wish I was here last Monday to see the special guest announce Monsters of Mock.
You saw the pictures,
I
right?
saw the pictures, absolutely. So I appreciate having some fun with that. I want to let you know that we did host the Kansas concert on Saturday, and it went phenomenal. Without any hitches. I really want to thank my staff for a great job being done, but also working with downtown Topeka and all their volunteers. It turned out to be a phenomenal experience, so we were glad to be able to help out with that. The new news is we went on sale or a pre-sale with Ice Age Live. It's going to be January 24th through the 26th in Landon Arena. It's a nice show that theme with Ice Age. With the new movie coming out, we're very excited about being able to host it here. So that's what's going on.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Hi, Jamie Kidd with the Shawnee County Extension Office, horticulture agent. And while the budget might be tough, so is a sick plant. We have things to deal with a sick plant clinic. It is a free clinic that the Master Gardeners put on each year at the Fairlawn Plaza Mall. It is Monday, July 11th from 10 to 3, and we bring in Shawnee, local and K-State specialists and experts, plant pathologists, entomologists, turf experts, all those kind of things, so you can get your questions answered immediately at this event. And it's being publicized all over. We've got some great things happening to let people know about it. It is free, so if you got something dead and dying besides your budget, bring it here. We can't help you with the budget. That's their job. But anyhow, we're real excited about it. It's a big deal, and it's inside air conditioning, so bring your plant issues and bug issues and questions.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
If anybody'd like a poster,
This is right here too.
I'm sorry.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. This is great timing. My wife's been out of town, and I've been responsible for keeping her alive. This is a great, I'm going to use this as a great excuse as to why I'm not doing as well. I did want to report to you that we had another very successful Spirit of Kansas event. Unfortunately, somewhere near the lake, there was a traffic fatality that kind of dampened everybody's spirits on that. But I have asked Josh Sturm, this was his first year being in charge of from the Parks and Recreation side, to come down to the county commissioners and present to you all of the behind-the-scenes things that most people don't see going on, the communications between the sheriff's office, the CEs, the communications division, police, fire, AMR. I spent some time over there and watched them put that together, and if you haven't seen them at work, that was awesome. Nelson Castile with Emergency Management kind of leads that charge, and that whole group does a terrific job. The other thing I did want to mention too is I think Commissioner Bueller mentioned it at the start at 10:30 today. We're having a ribbon cutting at the Dornwood Splash Pad. Everybody's welcome to come out.
11:30.
11:30. I'm sorry.
Randy.
Noon.
I was gonna, noon. I think it's noon. Randy's saying noon back there.
Oh, I would listen to Randy. It's
Okay.
noon. But if you come, we'll have the water on. You can pray. How's that? Is that a good cover?
Okay,
Thank you.
good deal, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, commissioners? You have anything?
I would like to compliment Parks and Rec staff for an excellent Spirit of Kansas event. Top notch. I'd also like to compliment Expo Center staff. I serve on the Expo Center board now, and there's almost a complete new leadership team at the Expo Center headed up by Jeff. And the agility and ability to change over the concert venue was just excellent, and no glitches whatsoever. And I'm going to leave it to Commissioner Cook to talk more about the Dornwood Splash Park, but I will say that the slides are going up at the Midwest Health Aquatic Center, and I'm excited about that. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cook?
Yeah, just we have the dedication. The park has already been open now. The kids have been out playing. I think on average we have between 50 and 70 kids at any given time out at the park. John, is that accurate? And it's a really good, it's needed addition to the neighborhood, ties in the neighborhood together, gives an opportunity for people to congregate, gather. We've got the picnic benches there, to have a family gathering. And so really looking forward to this formal dedication. I'm sure that, Commissioner Archer, you're going to go home, throw on your swimming trunks and get there, so, right?
I would if we didn't have 1 o'clock
Oh,
budget
I
meeting.
But John has warned us that, the kids, if they see an adult coming, they might spray you, so you've been warned. But really, look forward to the dedication. I just might note under administrative communications, as we go through the budget and talk about tax lids, I had an opportunity to kind of go back and look at some of the history of Kansas. And tax lids go all the way back to the 1800s, at the beginning of the statehood. And the legislature has routinely imposed tax lids on counties, removed tax lids, reimposed tax lids, and so this is not a new thing. And while this is a burden upon the taxpayers, it's a burden upon us at the local government. And how do we craft our budgets and provide services? We will persevere. We've persevered before, and I'm sure that we will find a way to continue all the services that we have offered to our constituents. Madam Chair.
All right, I don't think I have anything to add. Again, thank you to all the work for Spirit of Kansas and to our sponsors who made it possible. Very important. So, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
I do not believe there is a need, so we are adjourned, but we will pick up at 10:30 with Register of Deeds, 1 o'clock Public Works and Solid Waste, 2 o'clock Planning, and 3 o'clock Appraiser.